Hello and welcome to the Literary Lair. This week I'm going to get into the Christmas spirit by doing something holiday related. However, my special Christmas video will happen next week. So this week we'll look at my top 7 favorite Christmas stories. I know it's a bit of a cop-out to do it this week because it's the week before Christmas, but trust me, it'll make sense in a week. So without further ado, let's get to the list. But first, let's Christmasify the theme song. Number 7. A Visit from St. Nicholas, or 'Twas the Night Before Christmas, as it is better known as, is actually a poem, but I'd be remiss if it wasn't on the list. It was published in 1823 by Clement Clarke Moore, who first published it anonymously. It's a basic story that tells of a family on Christmas Eve where Santa Claus comes and the father explains what happens. It also happens to be part of the plot of one of my favorite Christmas movies, The Santa Claus, as many of the things associated with the Santa that Scott kills are from this story, such as the ladder from the Rose Such a Clatter company. It also led to my favorite Saturday Night Live sketch ever, the one where John Malkovich reads it with his own commentary. I can't find a clip of it, but here's a picture of John Malkovich to substitute. It's one of my favorite Christmas-related stories. I make an effort to read it every Christmas since they usually print it in my newspaper. If you haven't read it, where have you been celebrating Christmas? And read it, because it's a really great poem. On to the next one. Number 6. Yeah, this is another given for the list. And as for the question of why I don't review it, it's been reviewed or satirized in some form by almost everyone. Paul Dugan, Doctor Who, The Jetsons, Disney, Linkara, Doug Walker, The Looney Tunes, just to name a few. There's literally nothing left to say about it, and so I won't say anything. But it's a good story, and I've enjoyed the many adaptations of it, including one of the Muppet variety. And if you don't know this one, you probably just didn't know what it was called. It's about an evil man named Scrooge who gets visited by 3 ghosts and becomes a good guy at the end. I'd parody it, but that's a bit overdone. So, it's a good story, and it's been covered by too many people for it to be valuable for this show. Number 5. Yeah, a Rankin Bass had to make it on here. I love this movie. Not only is it one of the best Rankin Bass movies, it has the Heat Miser and the Snow Miser, the singers of the best musical duet in the history of Christmas movies. The story is basically Santa's sick, so Mrs. Claus is going to take over, but she wants to see all the people that believe in Santa and finds a town that doesn't get snow, and hijinks ensue. Not that one, but yeah, it's a pretty good comic. Where was I? Right, Rankin Bass. This is awesome. It's one of my favorite childhood memories of Christmas, next to Rudolph, Frosty, and Santa Claus is Coming to Town. Number 4. Yeah, not the Jim Carrey version. I mean the original cartoon. That is the best example of Dr. Seuss being adapted into a special for TV. Cat in the Hat was good, but if you mention Dr. Seuss, I'm going to immediately think Grinch. And why not? It's a great story, and it's been parodied by almost everyone. Nostalgia Critic, Linkara, and even How I Met Your Mother. So we have a few more to get to, and let's get to it. Number 3. Yeah, this had to be on here. I love this movie. It's probably one of the best modern Christmas movies I've ever seen. It really gets you into the spirit of Christmas, and it's one of the only Christmas movies that is wholly my generation's, since it came out in the early 2000s. Plus, the movie had Michael Jeter and Eddie Deason. Mr. Noodle and Mandark were in a movie together. If that isn't enough incentive to watch it, I don't know what is. Basically, this is a great movie, and you should go watch it. Now. Go. I'll wait. Watch it. Okay, you're back? It was awesome, wasn't it? Number 2. I talked about this in my O. Henry review back in August, but I'll say it again. This is a great story. It's touching, and it's a fantastic Christmas tale. And like I said, this has been parodied in a ton of mediums, but the good thing is, it's still obscure enough that I had my own opinion to say about it. And the story about the two lovers who give their prized possessions for each other is a fantastic sentiment for this season. So if you want my thoughts on this, check out the video, which I'll try to put up in the corner with a link in the annotation, but my YouTube skills might not be as sharp as I think, so there might not be a link. But I recommend this one as well. In fact, I recommend the Mickey Mouse version from Once Upon a Christmas as well. Go watch that. And number 1. Yeah, this wasn't adapted from a work of literature. However, it's my favorite Christmas movie ever. It's such a great movie with Jimmy Stewart in the role of George Bailey, and having a suicidal man with nothing going for him anymore, reconsidering his life when he sees how shitty the world would be without him. And sometimes, we all need that sentiment. Everyone is important, and the natural course of time wouldn't be the same without everyone's existence. This movie shows us that no matter how bad it gets, you are important. And I love that sentiment and this movie so much. In fact, the whole "you're important" sentiment is why I love Doctor Who, too. Because it shows that one person can make a difference. And that really makes me happy to know that there's a movie that tells you about that. Because it's just kind of the best sentiment for Christmas that you could ever have in a movie. And that's pretty much all I have to say about it. And that was it, my top 7 Christmas stories. There are more, but I wanted to keep the list slightly shorter than usual. Next week, it's finally Christmas, and we're going to read the super special secret Christmas story. That may or may not have anything to do with Christmas. I'll give you a hint for it. Check last year's Christmas episode. See you next week. A Visit from St. Nicholas, or 'Twas the Night Before Christmas as is